All right. Oh, gotta get everything plugged in and ready to go. My bad. Always tend to do this now. Skip forward to about the 2.5 minute mark if you're coming into this on the replay. There we go. Got the light on. Got the mic on. Just a little bit of my setup for you. This is just how that first little bit always goes. But we're going to be getting into the show in about 1.5 minutes here. And we're going to be talking about how elite level athletes cannot have amateur mindsets. Because honestly, this is something that has been on my mind for a little while, and I'm excited to bring this one to you, but we're going to leave it for a couple of minutes to let some more people roll in. As you tune in, I apologize if I sound a little bit off. Some allergies with the weirdly changing weather that we've got here in Calgary right now. And my throat is kind of messed up, and it's kind of making me feel like I sound like a zombie. So apologize in advance if anybody is hearing me sound a little bit weird. I am not dying, I promise. But the big thing I want you guys to be able to take away today is just that if you want to be successful in a sport, if you want to reach new levels in a sport, it is going to start in the brain. It is going to start with your mindset, plain and simple. But before we get into it, as you tune into this, make sure to share the show over with a friend, with a teammate, with someone you know that's going to need to hear this message. We're getting a lot more people downloading the show lately, which is making me super happy. I'm getting a lot more messages talking about the impact that the show is having on people, which is also making me super happy. But as you guys tune in here, make sure to drop me a comment. If you're here on the replay, drop a comment to let me know that you're here on the replay as well. And let's get into the show. Let's get it started. So we're talking about how elite level athletes cannot have amateur mindsets. And we're going to get going here in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Elite Development Podcast, the #1 show for athletes looking to gain an edge on their opponents and build their dream careers in sport. I'm your host, Kenny Dusseault, and today we are talking about how elite level athletes cannot have amateur mindsets. Before we get into it, I apologize in advance if I sound a little bit off today. Got some allergies going on from the weird weather we're having in Calgary. For anybody who doesn't live here, we have these weird things called Chinooks that in the middle of winter, for random days, it will just all of a sudden be spring weather. So that causes a lot of snow to melt and then freeze again and then melt again. And when that happens, I don't know what it is that happens inside of my throat and my body, but it does not always feel good. But we're here anyways, and we're going to get into the show. So elite level athletes cannot have amateur mindsets. What do I mean when I say this? Today we're going to get into this, and before we actually start, I want you to know we're going to talk about a couple of things that you might not want to hear if you're an athlete. We're going to talk about some things that might be uncomfortable to hear. And honestly, we're going to talk about some things that are a little uncomfortable for me to even bring to you. But I've stated time and time again, my goal is to help as many athletes as I possibly can reach newer levels, reach higher levels in their sport, reach newer levels in their careers. And that requires me to step into a new level of myself as well, which is to talk about those things that are uncomfortable to talk about. Excuse me. Which is to address those things that I don't necessarily even want to address, but that I know are important for you and for me to be able to help you reach the new levels in your sport that you want. So we are going to talk today about the amateur mindset that is holding you at lower levels in your career. So the first thing when it comes to that, I want you guys to think, what do all top athletes have in common? If you go across any sport, obviously they have very different skill sets. They have very different abilities. They have very different requirements depending on their actual sport itself as well. But what do all top athletes across all high-level sports have in common? They invest in themselves, whether that is coaches to help them with their skill set, whether that is rehab professionals to keep their body healthy, whether that is coaches like myself to help with their strength and conditioning, to help with their athleticism, to be able to perform at a higher level. They are constantly investing in themselves. I remember hearing a story, I can't remember the exact numbers, but I remember hearing a story about LeBron James, one of the best players in the history of the NBA. And I don't know enough about basketball to get into the argument of is he the best to ever play or is he not? But easily, and no argument here, has to be one of the best players to ever play the game. I remember hearing a story that he spends over $1 million a year on physiotherapy, chiropractic, massage therapy, and other treatments to keep his body healthy. I'm going to say that one more time. $1 million a year, more than $1 million a year on himself to keep his body healthy and ready to perform. Now, of course, I understand that LeBron James has millions of dollars. And yeah, when he was a high school athlete, when he was a college athlete, he was not doing these things. He was not spending $1 million that he didn't have in order to keep his body healthy. But think about that commitment. Regardless of who you are, think about that commitment. Think about putting $1 million purely towards keeping your body healthy in order to be able to perform at your best. Think about what that would do for your career. Now, I know immediately people are going to tell me it's LeBron James. He's got millions of dollars. $1 million is just a drop in the hat to him. And although I doubt that anyone's looking at $1 million as just no big deal, even if $1 million is no big deal to him, that is a lot of money that he is putting towards keeping his body healthy. And that's not even looking at his nutrition. That's not even looking at his strength and conditioning. That's not even looking at extra sessions that he's doing with high-level skill coaches in order to keep his skill set at a high level. That is $1 million purely on maintaining his body. But if you're sitting here and you're saying, well, easy for him, he's got millions of dollars, no big deal, whatever, rolling your eyes at the fact that I brought up this example, ask yourself, how much are you spending to keep your body healthy right now? How much of your hard-earned money is going towards massage therapy, towards chiropractors, towards physiotherapy, towards strength and conditioning, towards extra skill sessions with your coaches? How much of your money is going towards improving yourself in your sport? Now, you might be sitting here thinking, I'm paying for, my membership to my gym. I'm paying for a massage every month. I'm paying for, a couple of things, and that money might add up. But this all comes back to the main point of this episode, which is elite level athletes cannot have amateur mindsets. Because if you're sitting here and you're saying, I want to pay for more stuff to keep my body healthy, I want a strength and conditioning coach, I want a massage therapist, a physio, a chiropractor, whatever else it might be, but I can't afford it, ask yourself this question now. Where are you spending your money? Where are you spending your money? Where are you putting your hard-earned money if it's not towards helping your career? And I want you to really break this down into the little things as well. Because even as an example, if you stop and get a coffee at Tim Hortons every morning before you go to work, that's $2, right? No big deal. $2 a day, 5 days a week. Now you're at $10 a week. Now you're at $40 a month. Now, again, I'm not going to try to do math. I'm not going to pretend that I'm good at that, but you're at $40 a month, 40 times 12. Now, just by making your own coffee at home, you're saving yourself a pretty decent chunk of change that can now go towards something that is more beneficial. And that $40 every couple of months, that's another massage. That's another session with a chiropractor, right? But again, it all comes down to where you're spending your money. It all comes down to your mindset of, am I going to take this hard-earned money of mine and put it towards improving myself, or put it towards making my life easier today by stopping to grab coffee? Something as simple as coffee, but then we look at, I know a lot of people that they go out for lunch with work 2 to 3 times a week and, it's no big deal. It's just $20 every time. You're doing that twice a week. That's $40 a week. Now that's $80 every 2 weeks, $160 a month. One of my base programs is just a couple $100 a month. So by saving that coffee every day and that lunch 2 to 3 times a week, you can invest in a base program with a very high level strength and conditioning coach. So are you getting what I'm saying? This is not to say that you're not allowed to go grab a coffee or you're not allowed to go grab lunch. But if you are an athlete sitting here saying, I am 10 out of 10 committed, I want to make it to the top, I want to be elite, I want to be a pro, but I can't afford to go to a chiropractor. I can't afford to go get physio. I can't afford a strength and conditioning coach. I can't afford a nutritionist. I can't afford all of these things that are going to actually benefit you. You are an amateur. Right now, the problem is you have an amateur mindset. The problem is, and the reason you're not further along isn't because you can't afford it. It's because your mindset hasn't allowed you to push to that level yet. When I moved to Calgary, I remember coming in here with one of the most amateur mindsets that you could imagine. I was moving into a job that it was going to require me to build up my own clientele. It was going to require me to, go find my own clients. But in exchange, I was going to be able to get educated by a group of high-level coaches, something that I was extremely excited about. I remember coming into Calgary being like, you know what, I'll give it a try for 6 months. I got enough money to, get by for a few months if I need to. And then after those few months, if it doesn't work out, I'll just move back to Ottawa. And after my first day, I remember walking out of that gym and saying, oh my God, this place is high level and I need to do anything I can to stay here. And I'm a 200-pound man and I have my grocery bill down to $34 a week because I knew that every dime I had was important until I could build up my clientele to stay at that gym, because I wanted to reach the next level of myself as a coach. And if I was going to do that, that gym is where I needed to be. So for yourself, I know that you're investing some money already. You've got a gym membership. You're doing a couple other things, sure. But how badly do you want the next level? How badly do you want to actually be a pro? How badly do you actually want to make this sport your career? What sacrifices are you willing to make in order to have that long-term success you're looking for? Because if you're sitting here saying you're 10 out of 10 committed, you're sitting here saying you want this sport to be your life, you want to achieve the highest of levels, but then you're sitting here saying you can't afford to invest in these things you know are important, the problem isn't your money. The problem is your mindset. The problem is that you are an amateur athlete with an amateur mindset trying to become a pro, and that's not how that works. Now, the second thing I wanted to talk about is maybe you're sitting here and you're saying, you know what? Fuck you, Kenny. I'm investing everything that I can invest, but I just literally do not have the money. I broke down where I'm spending my money, and I'm not spending money on anything dumb. And every dime I have that's extra is already going towards my career, but it's just not enough. And so if you're sitting here right now and you think, I just don't make enough money, and that's the problem, and that's why I haven't been succeeding more, ask yourself, are you looking for sponsors right now? And I know anytime I bring that up to an athlete, immediately the answer I get is, no, I need more wins before I can get sponsors. Do you know that? Or are you just assuming that? There are a lot of companies out there that would love to jump on board with a local up-and-coming athlete, even if they've got one fight, even if they have no fights. There are a lot of companies that want to jump on board because they want to be that company that was there from day one. All they're waiting for is for you to ask. But instead of asking, instead of taking the professional mindset approach and saying, what can I do? You're taking the amateur mindset approach and you're saying, they don't want me yet. I'm not high enough level. You don't fucking know that. So if you're not making enough money right now, start looking for sponsors. Start looking for someone to help you out. Stop using the excuse that you're not high enough level because you don't fucking know that. And the worst case scenario is you go out and you ask 100 times. You need one to say yes. You need one to say, shout us out on social media twice a month and we'll give you $100 a month. One. But you haven't asked once. So if you haven't asked, how do you know? because it's an amateur mindset that's holding you back from succeeding. Now, the next thing I want to talk about there is if you are not getting paid enough money in your job to pay the expenses you have to succeed in your sport, it's time to find a new job. And I know that's difficult to think about. If you've been at a certain job for a while now, you're comfortable there, you're happy there, you like your coworkers, it's tough to think about leaving. But you need to ask yourself, do I want to be comfortable in the job I have right now? Or do I want to make more money and in turn be able to afford the things I need to succeed long-term in my sport, like I say I so badly want to? The amateur mindset wants to keep you comfortable. The amateur mindset wants you to stay at the job that you're happy at, stay at the job that you're comfortable at, even though it's not putting you in a position to be successful at what actually matters to you, because it's comfortable. It's easy. People know you there. You've been around for a while. But the professional mindset looks at that same situation and says, I don't have enough money because I need to invest in a chiropractor or a physiotherapist or a massage therapist, a strength coach. We've been over it all. What can I do about it? How do I put myself in a better situation to be successful here? And then they figure it the fuck out. So if you are truly 10 out of 10 committed to making this sport your career, understand I don't have the money isn't a reason anymore. I don't have the money isn't an excuse anymore. Because if you want to be successful long-term, you need to find a way. And that way might be looking for sponsors. That way might be leaving the job you're at right now and finding a different one. And another answer, go to your current boss, go to the person who runs the company you work at now or your supervisor, whoever it might be, and say, listen, I'm trying to be an athlete. I need to be bringing in more money than I am right now. What else can I do here that would pay me more money? What other responsibilities can you give me that will allow me to take home more money every week that I can invest in my future, in my career, to do what I actually want to do for a living? And again, they might say no, but if you're sitting here right now and you are not making enough money at the job you're at, why would you not ask? Why would you not want to know for sure? And why would you want to just sit here and say, well, the job I'm at doesn't pay me enough money, when you can go in and ask someone tomorrow, what can I do that would allow me to make more money? And they might have an extra job. It might be something that you don't want to do. It might be, hey, you got to stay for an hour at the end of your shift and clean. But if you can bring home an extra $20 a day and you're working 5 days a week, it's an extra $100 a week that can now go towards investing in your future, investing in your sport. So if you are an athlete right now who is committed to reaching the next level in their sport, if you're an athlete right now who is committed to reaching high levels, to making this sport your career, to making this sport your life, like you say you are, understand that whatever reason you are giving for staying where you're at right now, I don't have the money to invest in myself. I don't have the time to put into, these extra sessions or anything like that. I would, but the city I'm in right now isn't, the best city for it. Whatever that excuse is that you're giving yourself for not being further along is bullshit. The reason or the excuse that you're giving yourself is bullshit. The reason you are not further along is because you have not taken all the action that you can take to make it happen. That felt good. Good to get that one off my chest. But the main thing I want you guys to take away from this is, again, I know that a lot of the stuff that I just talked about in that episode came across hard, and it was meant to, because I made the commitment a long time ago that my goal is to impact as many athletes as I can possibly impact. My goal is to have the difficult conversations with as many of those athletes out there as I can have to help you guys reach new levels. Because the thing that's allowed me to reach new levels as a coach, as a business owner, as a person, the thing that's allowed me to reach new levels is having those conversations with my own mentors, getting called out for staying comfortable, getting called out for not doing the extra work, getting called out for not making the investments. And so my goal is to bring that same energy to you so that you're not sitting here at 40, 50, 60 years old saying, shit, I wish I had put more into it. Shit, I wish I had gone a little harder. Shit, I wish I had, been smarter about how I spent my money. My goal is that you are actually putting everything into it now because you have a limited time to do this. You have a limited time to achieve these goals, and you don't want to be sitting back in 20, 30, 40 years wishing that you could have done more. So that is it. That is all. I appreciate you all for taking the time to tune in. I appreciate you all for taking the time to let me rip into it. Know that it comes from love. So I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and we'll talk to you all again very soon.